Lessons that I learned that I thought were big. There are two big ones that have really helped me out over time. One was the phrase "train for longevity." The first person to tell me that was Taika Oyata. And I probably didn't appreciate it at the time because I was in my early 20s and he was in his 70s. So I was just infatuated with the art that he was teaching. It was just so beautiful. And just loved it. Just loved it. And I remember that him always saying, train for longevity, train for longevity. You want to be able to train when you're older. And now I train with Guru Dan, and I've been training with Guru Dan in Asano I've been following him for like 13 years right now or something like that, since 2000. And he's really big on that. He's really big on pushing, that you need to train hard, but you need to train what your body can do. I'm a big believer in challenge your body, but don't push it to the point of injury, because that only stops your training then. You can push your way through an injury and then not train. You can do that for one night and then not train for a month while you heal. So in every injury your body records. It's like a check, and it's going to cash that check later on in life. So you gotta remember that. I'm just starting to kind of feel that now as I'm getting older. I'm 35 now. I'm still a young guy, but there are little things that are starting to say, oh yeah, I remember all those times you hit the heavy bag as hard as you could with technique or without technique, with muscle instead, And my shoulders are reminding me of that. I recently remembered a conversation I had with Tadashi Yamashita. He was telling me that long stance katas keep you alive. I thought that was really interesting. He was saying, despite whether or not true combat techniques are inside of the katas or not, whether or not they're truly useful applications or not, he says the long stance motion in the katas that they use keeps your legs conditioned, keeps your knees mobile, keeps your hips flexible, keeps your legs going. And then when your legs go, the rest of you goes. Having spent 7 years on the road as a paramedic, I definitely saw that. When somebody's legs go, everything else goes, because if your legs aren't moving, you're not moving. So you're not really burning your metabolism. If you're not burning your metabolism, everything, all the fat and all the crud you eat just collects, and it turns into diabetes and atherosclerosis. And when you don't use it, you lose it. And I think he's right. Those long stance katas keep you moving. I've actually myself recently gotten back into privately just training my old katas and motions just to keep my body limber and going, because you can't just pound on things as hard as you can when you're a kid, So, and I think you see the same, with the Tai Chi, and a lot of the motions in the Tai Chi just keeps the body going. The second biggest lesson I think I learned was came from Jiu-Jitsu, and it was small personal victories. Small personal victories are, when I would roll with my teachers. I train with several teachers right now, one of which is Coach Sean Kitzman, and I first started doing combat submission wrestling with him, and I was just always getting tapped out, or always just being dominated in some way, and it was just so frustrating, And we had talked about, if you can just roll for 30 seconds without getting your mind all freaked out, or if you can just hold top mount for 10 seconds before you lose it, or something like that, despite whether you get tapped out or not, if you do that, you won. And we started to kind of coin the phrase small personal victories. That's your small personal victory. If let's say we're gonna start rolling, I'm gonna be on the bottom, and my whole goal is just to get out from the bottom. I don't care if you tap me out, choke me out, pull a knife on me, whatever. If I can just get out from underneath the bottom, I won. And that helped me learn how to keep going and not just beat up on myself. So no matter overall outcome, win or lose, I still won, because I had measurable success, or measurable improvement. And so I do that with all my students now. I talk about small personal victories. It doesn't matter how hard you hit the mitt. What you need to focus on is whether or not you pivot your feet, you pivot your hips. If you can do that, you won that round. Just small personal victories.
So did they set them? Did your students set them, or do you set them for them?
Both.
Goals? Yeah.
Both. I'll tell them ahead of time. Like if we're about to start rolling or something like that, or sparring or clinching, I'll tell them your goal this round is this. Or your goal this round is that. Or I tell them pick one of your own. You know, I will have them all pick a goal and not tell them the goal, and then have them roll. And then when they get done, I'll let them tell each other what their goal was. You know, so if your goal is find an arm bar and my goal is just don't freak out, you know, maybe we both get to win. But if I tell you what my goal is and you tell me what your goal is, then we're going to be working on stopping the other person's versus focusing on our own.